Many of us have had the experience of waking up in the middle of the night with things on our mind, unable to sleep. And I think perhaps sometimes in our best moments we see those as opportunities to pray about the things that are on our minds, and perhaps that is indeed the best thing to do. But when I wake up in the middle of the night with things on my mind, sometimes have a hard time discerning about, am I praying about this or am I fretting about this? Is this an actual act of prayer or it's just an act of anxiety? You know, we live in a context, sometimes personally, where there are things of concern personally, some uncertainty and anxiety about the future personally. We certainly live in the context within our church with various controversies flying about that gives us a sense of anxiety and uncertainty. Indeed, sometimes locally and more globally, we are concerned about the future of this context or our country or the world or war, or there's lots of opportunities to fret and to be in a place of anxiety and worry. Every once in a while, as we read the Psalms, they speak so poignantly and perfectly into a given moment. And in this time, in this fretful moment that we might find ourselves in, again, personally, ecclesiologically, perhaps politically, we may find ourselves in a place where it's easy to fret and easy to worry. But the psalmist gives us, from this past Sunday, Psalm 37, gives us some sage exhortation and advice. It says the psalm begins like this: fret not. I mean, it just begins with fret not. Fret not yourself because of the ungodly, neither be envious of those who are evildoers, for they shall soon be dried up like the grass and be withered even as the green herb. The psalmist also goes on in verse 8 and says, refrain from wrath, let go of anger, fret not yourself, lest you be moved to do evil. And I think it's very true that anxiety and worry and fretting does lend us to actions of evil. Because when I'm anxious and I'm fretful about whatever, I want to do something to make it better, to fix it, to make it better. And sometimes that pushes me into precipitous and unhelpful action. Indeed, in fretting, we are easily moved to do evil. But the exhortation of the psalmist here is something very different. There is this fundamental contrast to fretting about evildoers or fretting about what's amiss, fretting about what's broken and what I need to do to fix it. Reminds us that all of these things are temporary. They shall soon be dried up like the grass and be withered even as the green herb. That isn't that we shouldn't be concerned or care about things that may be anxiety-provoking in our world, in our lives, in our context. But it is a reminder in the psalm that these things are not eternal, that these things will not be forever. And instead, there is this exhortation not to fret ourselves, but to do something else. In verse 3 of Psalm 37, it says this, and both of these things are really matter. Put your trust in the Lord is the first exhortation. Indeed, fretting leads our trust away from the Lord and into a system or ourselves or something that's going to make this better. But the exhortation is put your trust in the Lord. Faith at its heart is not just understanding what we believe as Christians. It is that plus then actually relying and trusting in the action, the sovereignty, the goodness, the faithfulness of God, and turning our attention to that instead of the things that make us fret. But the second part of this is also fantastic. Put your trust in the Lord and do good. Just do good. As we see things that may not be good, things that are around us that are distressing and upsetting, the exhortation is put your trust in the Lord and also do good. One of the things that as I read this past week, I thought about, and I actually wrote down in my journal one morning, I said, what good is God inviting me to do today? And I think that's a great response to the context of fretting and worrying, is put your trust in the Lord and do good. Trust in the goodness and the faithfulness of God and ask Him, what good can I do today?